It is said these prophets foresaw the First and Second World Wars, predicted natural catastrophes, the rise and fall of empires, and the end of the world. From the ancient Mayan astrologers to the legendary Nostradamus to the celebrated visionaries of today, we are going to visit the past and the present's most extraordinary prophets and seers.
4, 3, 2.
We'll hear their most spine-chilling forecasts.
There is a great purification coming.
Times of dire cataclysm, death, devastation.
And observe the man who outshines them all.
Well, Edgar Cayce made some extraordinary predictions beyond what we could imagine.
He would read the body as though he were an X-ray machine.
Edgar Cayce was clearly the most gifted psychic of the 20th century.
From ancient times to today, the mysteries of the future have been explored by many, but interpreted by only a select few. Prophecy has a rich and controversial history, but its most celebrated figure is, without a doubt, Michel de Notre Dame, better known to us as Nostradamus. He was seen as a prophet of doom because of his dark visions of the future. But Nostradamus used astrology, magic, and medicine to look across space and time at all things.
Nostradamus was a very famous person in his own time, even before he started writing the things that made him famous. He was the court physician and astrologer to the Queen of France.
Primarily a physician, Nostradamus was a Renaissance man in many ways. Over 500 years after his birth, he is chiefly remembered for his book Les Prophéties, a collection of 1,000 visionary quatrains that he wrote between 1555 and 1558.
He planned 10 volumes, 1,000 predictions, of which only 942 survive. And they basically look at the profound flows and inclinations of the future. They're not written in stone. There are hundreds of prophecies that indicate alternative futures.
Nostradamus' material is clearly clothed in symbology and arcane references and open to different interpretations.
But many of the predictions proved eerily accurate, especially those that were fulfilled in Nostradamus' own lifetime. The most famous of them predicted the death of the King of France 4 years before it occurred. In July 1559, Henry II confronted Gabriel, Count of Montgomery, in a jousting tournament.
The young lion, he will surmount the old one, on the field of combat in single battle told.
Both men bore shields emblazoned with lions.
The younger lion, Count Montgomery, did not lower his jousting stick soon enough, which pierced through the golden visor of the king. He will pierce his eyes through a cage all golden. Count Montgomery, his jousting stick split into large splinters, one wounding the king in the throat, another just behind the eye, blinding him and going into his brain. The final line gives us the denouement, the epilogue to all of this. 2 wounds become 1, then dying in cruel death's cold. The king lingered for 10 agonizing days, and he finally died from peritonitis of the brain.
It is thought possible that Nostradamus predicted the French Revolution.
From the enslaved people, songs, chants, and demands. In the future, by such headless idiots, these will be taken as divine utterances.
The ascendancy and fall of Napoleon.
From the simple soldier, he will aspire to empire. From a short robe, he will aspire to the long.
And Hitler's rise to power.
The greater part of the battlefield will be against Hister, when the child of Germany observes nothing.
He also had ominous visions of the new millennium.
The year of the great seventh number is accomplished, appearing at the time of the games of slaughter, not far from the age of the great millennium when the dead will come out of their graves.
This bleak vision of our times has not come to pass, at least not yet. But Nostradamus continues to command great respect as a prophet.
Why people get so convinced that Nostradamus knew what he was talking about is that once you set an interpretation on a given quatrain and you think you know the historical event that it refers to, it's really hard to see that there could have been other alternatives that would have worked just as well.
Nostradamus was not unique. Across the English Channel in Knaresborough in Yorkshire, another seer was also experiencing similar vivid visions of the future.
Mother Shipton was a contemporary of Nostradamus. She was born in the late 1400s and died in 1561, just about 5 years before Nostradamus.
In verse, Mother Shipton is said to have given detailed descriptions of a future that was yet to unfold.
And now a word in uncouth rhyme of what shall be in future time. Around the world men's thoughts will fly, quick as the twinkling of an eye. Beneath the water men shall walk, shall ride, shall sleep, shall even talk. For in these wondrous far-off days, the women shall adopt a craze to dress like men and trousers wear, and cut off their locks of hair.
It is said she also predicted the Second World War and the end of the world.
In 1926, build houses light with straw and sticks, for then shall mighty wars be planned, and fire and sword shall sweep the land. For those who live the century through, in fear and trembling this shall do, for storms shall rage and oceans roar when Gabriel stands on sea and shore, and as he blows his wondrous horn, old worlds shall die and new be born.
Was she foreseeing the future, or simply imagining it?
Prophets, if they were archers, what they would do is shoot an arrow into the wall and then have somebody paint a target around it. They let out this vague kind of statement that could be read multiple ways, and they rely on their hearers to put the interpretation into it that fits best for them.
There is another seer whose chilling predictions continue to echo down the centuries. He is Saint Malachi, canonized in 1190. Malachi was a reforming Catholic prelate born in Armagh in 1094. On a visit to Rome, he was struck by a vision. Before him appeared a series of Latin phrases identifying the 111 popes who would rule the Catholic Church until the end of time.
He uttered 111 Latin mottos, which are supposed to represent the nature, the name, or destiny, or the coat of arms of every pope until Judgment Day.
Many of the phrases are considered too precise to be the results of chance. John the 23rd, the 107th Pope in the prophecy, is referred to as Pastor et Nortam, priest and sailor. Before becoming Pope in 1958, he was the Patriarch of Venice. Paul VI is Flos Floram, flower among flowers. His coat of arms is a lily among lilies.
John Paul II, who is called De Labora Solis in the prophecies, which means the sun's eclipse, the sun's labor. He is the only pontiff on the list that was born on an eclipse and later entombed during an eclipse.
And the 111th, the final Pope in the prophecy?
De Gloria Olivae, from the glory of the olive. That's the current Benedict XVI.
At the end of the list, Malachi is said to have uttered a final doom-laden phrase, this one unnumbered.
During the final persecution, the seat of the Holy Roman Church will be occupied by Peter the Roman, who will feed the sheep in many tribulations, after which the seven-hilled city will be destroyed, and the terrible judge will judge his people. The end.
Is Malachi describing the end of the Catholic Church, or the end of the world? Is Peter the Roman the last pope who will follow the current pontiff, Benedict XVI? Some experts consider that since the motto is unnumbered, they are actually one and the same. Malachi, Nostradamus, and Mother Shipton all predicted events that have since become history. But who are today's forecasters, and what can they tell us about